Hand of Midas is you, okay? And Necronomicon was the guy that she told you not to worry about, right? Now, Hand of Midas decided to hit the gym and improve himself somehow, right? And now he gives 210% XP. Where Necronomicon kind of let itself go, right? You know, and became a bit weaker, less valuable. So all of a sudden, these people who want to buy Necronomicon because of a farming tool, right, might actually consider buying Hand of Midas. If you like our content, please do like and subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to click the notification button below so you will be notified when a new video will be released. Today, we got something amazing. We got a gameplay update of 7.27. I've been waiting for this update for a long time, and I skimmed over it a little bit. All I gotta say is this patch looks freaking amazing. Like, the amount of things that I didn't like is very small, and the amount of things that I saw that I really liked is a lot. And a lot of it isn't just like some just some like item changes, general changes that are big, but it's like how the overall game changes because of these small little things, right? This patch doesn't have any hero changes. They said that hero changes will come out at a later time. They want you to get used to the general changes and the item changes, and then they will throw in the hero changes, so it's not so overwhelming for people to learn and adapt. Alright, so let's just start straight up with the general changes so we can get that out of the way. And I feel mostly these are the things that impact the overall game, and you gotta really think about like how these changes can affect your gameplay, right? So straight away to start, hero kills base XP increased from 40 to 100. Huge! So every kill that you get from here on out is gonna give you a base of additional 60 XP. So kills in the early game are gonna amount to so much more, especially these level 1, level 2 kills that you want to get are gonna be so important and can pretty much snowball you in the laning stage. And that's gonna be huge. I feel like you know, roaming and trying to get kills around the map earlier in the game is gonna be more beneficial than just trying to secure farm for your cores. And we're gonna be seeing a lot more active gameplay just from this one little change alone. Hero kill last hit gold increased, so there's a little bit more gold from there too, from getting the kills. Assist gold rescaled 45, and then you know, a lot of this like math stuff is like hard to analyze. There's a lot of the, if you want to more information on those things, you can find a lot of those on Knoxville's Twitter, for example. He posts a lot of that stuff there. But overall, a lot of these things are to give more gold and XP from getting kills, right? From the previous patch. Previous patch, it was a lot about farming and stopping your enemy from farming, where this is more giving help towards getting more gold for getting kills on the enemy than anything else. I feel like the person who advocated for this the most has been fucking Mad from OG. He talked a lot about this, and he feels like this is what made Dota so boring, and I kind of agree with him, and I'm really happy with these changes already. Passive gold income increased from 85 to 95, so you can get a little bit more gold. Bounty runes are now reliable gold. It won't change too much, but obviously for your buyback reasons, and when you die, the bounty runes, like, they will not be, you know, taxed off or something for your death cost. Tower last hit bounty from 180 for tier 1, 2, 3, 4 to 120, 140, 160, 180. And this is like kind of nerfing how much gold you get from towers if you're the one who gets the last hit. But whatever gold everybody else gets is still the same. Neutral stacking support bounty increased from 35 to 40. So a little bit more help for like support players and stuff. They stack a camp, they'll get a little bit more gold. It's not too big, but from all the gold changes and XP changes, these first 3 lines is absolutely huge for this patch. Mid lane creep camps changed from medium to small. This is to counteract the mid laners always farming the 2 medium camps and not roaming, because they will get more from it. So the small camps now, they are easier to kill, but they do give less XP and gold overall. So that's going to, you know, give a little bit more net worth towards the mid laner. Removed Prowler camp. That's the purple creeps, super annoying to deal with. When you know, early game carries go to that camp, they see it, they just don't even want to kill it because it takes away like 60-70% of your health early game. It's super annoying. Actually, going back to this mid lane creep country, there's going to be a lot more things that will affect this. Obviously, there's less gold on the map itself. You can kill the camps easier. Chen, for example, can get more creeps earlier levels if he goes there as well. So that should be something that we should keep an eye out on, right? Eventually, but that will naturally mean that there is going to be less gold on the map because of the small camps being changed, and even heroes like Alchemist could actually benefit from something like this. Okay, adjust the low ground tree layout. So there's like some tree stuff changes. It's hard to see that without going inside the game, and it's probably not gonna change the game a whole lot. These tree changes I've never really felt like, apart from juking and things like that, really, you know, change the game in a big way. Change the camp to the right of the Radiant Seeker shot from medium camp to hard camp. So this is just balancing out the Radiant left triangle area, because right now in the last patch, like Dire, if they get an advantage, they take over your safe lane. They just keep farming the 2 ancients, and there's so many camps there. And then the left side, the triangle for the Radiant is not super good, right? So they're just trying to buff that up a little bit, get a bit more juicy so the map is a bit more balanced in terms of that. Okay, moving on. Reduce the size of the Radiant safe lane hard camp spawn box. So that's just like, so the leash is a little bit bigger, right? I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I think it won't really change much in terms of like big gameplay stuff or anything like that. Radiant safe lane small camp spawn box has been increased. Okay. Wait. I didn't really understand it at first because those things I just like completely look over, right? Okay. I think like these things, like they're just more towards like how you pull and things like that, so it's not like too relevant as to, you know, big gameplay things, except for maybe your position 5 support or something. The spawn box has been reduced, means like it's just smaller, you know, when you leash it, there's less chance for the enemy to block it and stuff, and you can deward and things like that overall. Okay, moving on. Okay, these are actually huge, by the way. Outposts can no longer be stolen by the other team until they kill one of your tier 2 towers. So outposts, they cannot be taken. Both teams get 1 outpost, so there's no point to play around it early on. Even 10-minute outposts, both teams will get 1 outpost each. So this is actually to counterbalance the early game team fighting, right? In the past, people just kept fighting over outposts over and over and over again, and because they increased how much you get from kills and gold and such, gold from kills, they wanted to balance that out so it's not like just non-stop brawling. And the way they did that is made it so outposts can only be taken over when you kill one of the enemy tier 2 towers. Now this means that till like 20 minutes there's a chance that tier 2 towers might not fall, and you never have to fight over outposts, and you always have an outpost that you can TP to, right? But this also is one of the changes that I didn't like, because there are going to be games where a team just won't be able to get a tier 2 tower. For example, Spectre lineups, right? Spectre lineups, they don't normally have the potential to take tier 2 towers, even till like the very end of the game. So, and other slow lineups as well. And this is going to mean like you're going to want to play some fast tempo lineups that can take objectives really quickly and try to take a tier 2 tower so that you can take the outpost, and so that you can keep on, you know, snowballing over and over again. And the enemy side now, if they don't have that same ability as you do to be able to take towers, they're not going to be able to keep up with you anymore. If you lose both of your outposts, then you can't really come back into the game. Unless you take a tier 2 tower, then you can take these outposts back. So it's really like snowbally for these teams who have the possibility of taking tier 2 towers, and it's very important that you defend tier 2 towers. This reminds me a lot of previous patches with the shrines, where if you kill a tier 3 tower, you can kill the shrines. So people, did whatever they possibly can to be able to kill tier 3 towers in the past. And this is going to come down to like the same situation like that, where people are going to put a lot of emphasis into killing tier 2 towers so that they can control all the outposts, and you just pretty much stop the enemy from being able to move out on the map and all these things. And I think this change is probably going to be, reverted at some point. I really don't like it. Or maybe at least make it into a tier 3 tower. Tier 2 tower is like too much on these, Beastmaster NP lineups early game that are able to take tier 2 towers, and people are going to keep forcing to play those heroes so that they can control outposts, because outposts is like so big for the game. Yeah. Outpost now reveals enemies channeling it. Outpost vision radius is now shown by holding Alt. Okay. Moving on. All lane creeps now avoid hero aggro until they are near enemy creeps, neutrals, or within 1550 range of their tier 1 tower. This active until the siege unit spawn at 5. This is huge, right? So what this does is it doesn't allow you to pull creeps at the tier 3 tower. So early game offlaners will go sometimes between the tier 1 and tier 2, or they will go to a tier 3 tower. They start dragging the creeps all around. Now the creeps won't follow you until they get at least 1550 range close to the tier 1 tower, right? So this gives more opportunities if you're a support to be able to chase these guys who are trying to, pull creep waves, do some damage to them, and all these things. And I think I kind of like it, and this is going to force people to fight in lanes a little bit more, or fight closer to the tier 1 towers a little bit more, so there's potential to be able to stop them from pulling, or being able to clash with them and not have this like giant triple waves running past you all the time that you just couldn't stop from happening. So I really like that change a lot. And the only thing I'm curious about is if this change somehow messed up where you can pull other neutral creeps to your waves and they would actually pull aggro or something, right? Like what if you can pull the ancient camp or some random big camps to the creep wave, and then they're like 1550 range, and then you can start aggroing, right, the creep waves. So that's something that I haven't tested yet, but that could be interesting if you're able to do some small tricks like that to be able to pull aggro from these creep waves before the 5-minute siege spawn. Courier bounty reduced. Courier flying upgrade level requirement reduced from 5 to 4, and courier movement speed is reduced by 50% while carrying consumables. So in the last patch, people used to spam consumables like crazy. So this is going to make the courier slower if they're carrying consumables, and that means it's going to be easier for you to snipe them as well, which I think I like it. I feel like people shouldn't start with one tango and just like bring regen non-stop. At least the region should be slower, coming to them too. That makes a lot of sense. So you can be punished if you're starting with a lot less region. So this means that I think playing more aggressively when you see the enemy have low regen in the lane is really good. And then you have like one of your supports going behind the tower and being ready to snipe the couriers too, because they need to bring those regions. So you can be a bit smarter with those things. Courier bounty reduced also means they give a little bit, more gold, right? I feel like couriers were giving way too much gold in the previous, like sometimes 50 minutes in the couriers are giving like 100 gold and then to every hero, and that's like more valuable than killing a tower in terms of the economy that you gain. That's really nice. So there's an armor formula change. I saw Knoxville talk a little bit about this on Twitter. He said that if you're in negative armor, it's going to do a little bit more damage than previously. But if you have more than 10 armor, it's going to give you a little bit more, tank ability. That's kind of the vibes that I got from what he said. But if you guys want to look into more detail, please go on Twitter, check out Knoxville. He's got a lot more information on that stuff, but this is like confusing as hell to me. I have no idea what this even means, but the gist of it is, it's not huge changes in terms of the armor stuff. All right, moving on. Tier 1 towers attack speed increase, attack rate from 1.0 to 0.9, base attack speed from 100 to 100. So what they did here is the tier 1 and tier 2 towers, they hit faster, but they do a little bit less damage. Now, this is gonna mess you a little bit in terms of your last hitting, because this is not something that you're used to. This changes, so you're gonna take a little bit more adjustment to it. But overall, I think it's better because the towers are doing slightly less damage, so you can manipulate, how many times you need to hit the creeps and things like that. If the towers hit, closer to your damage, then like when you need to hit it to get that last hit. But when the towers do more damage than you do, it's a lot more difficult to get the last hits, right? It doesn't really matter if the towers are like hitting faster. So overall, I would think that it's easier for you to get last hits once you get used to the new tower mechanics. So the tier 2 towers previously hit creeps way too hard. Like if you have to hit last hit creeps under the tier 2 tower, it was so difficult. They were hitting for like 200 damage. So difficult to deal with for sure. Siege units health increased by 60. This is gonna be, your big boy that's gonna destroy enemy towers. Having it have a little bit more HP is more helpful to you. But at the same time, siege units having 60 more health also means that you can actually last hit the siege creeps. Previously, when the siege creep went to your tower, the tower would 3-shot it. Sometimes you can get the last hit, sometimes you cannot, depending on the damage range. Now it has 60 more health, so after 3 hits, you will probably just have to hit it 1 time in between, and then you can get the last hit on the siege creep. Something like that, depending on how much damage you obviously have, right? Or you can just let the tower hit it 3 times and you can just last hit the siege creep. So there's more chances to be able to last hit the siege creep, but also it's gonna live longer for you to protect it and try to kill towers with it. So overall, like I think it's like quality of life changes that I feel will help every player in the end, as long as you understand these mechanics and what you're doing. Oh, thank you. Okay, all pick drafting has been reworked. Each team now picks 2 heroes per round before they are revealed rather than just 1. So what this means is that at the start, you're gonna have both teams pick 2 heroes, then they pick another 2 heroes, and then 1 hero instead of going 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, right? So in the previous patch, what happened was the first picks were always like the position 5s, then the position 4s, position 3s, position 1, then the position 2s, right? And what that did was every time the position 3 player was always getting counterpicked by the carry player, right? The position 3 player was getting counterpicked by the position 1 player every game. And it was so difficult for offlaners to win their lanes because they're constantly getting counterpicked. So what this is going to do is most likely position 5 and 4 are going to pick at the same time on both teams. And then the position 3 and 1 are going to pick at the same time. And these are going to be blind. So you're not going to be able to see the position 3 or the 1 for both of the teams. And that's going to give a better opportunity for these guys to pick their heroes. That being said, there are going to be some heroes that are going to be insanely broken in the offlane. For example, Batrider, right? Batrider is a hero where you see the 2 supports. It's like, oh, none of these heroes can remove my Napalm or Lasso. Then you pick Batrider. Now, if the enemy decides to pick Spectre, this Batrider hero is going to destroy the game, right? Because they couldn't see that a Batrider is being picked. And they couldn't adjust their draft to it. So they were not going to pick Phantom Lancer or Anti-Mage. So that being said, there's a very good chance that the picks are going to change where the mid laner and the off laners are going to be picked instead. And the last pick is going to be the carry hero because of this situation where the off laner can constantly, the carry hero could constantly have very bad matchups because of it. Alright, moving on. All pick hero ban count increased from 10 to 12, so more bans, more, commonly picked heroes being removed from the pool. All pick first 2 rounds, so you have 5 more extra seconds for picking. Captain's mode stuff, that's gonna be huge changes, by the way. Captain's mode, I know a lot of you probably not interested in Captain's mode that much, but for pro players, this is absolutely insane. So they're changing bans from 4 bans in the first phase to 2 bans in the first phase, 3 bans in the second phase, and 2 more bans before the last final pick, right? And what this does is okay, the team that was the most dominant during this era of 2 bans in the first place was actually Liquid, right? Because Liquid had like these you know, key strategies or key picks that they could take in the early phases, and there's so many of them that they had that the enemy couldn't ban out all of them, right? So what this is going to do is going to bring back a meta where the teams that have the more key early game pocket strats, for example, if a team has a super good IO player, Earthshaker player, and a Kato player that Liquid had, right, you can only ban 2 of them. So you're going to have to give 1 of them to the enemy no matter what, right? What was happening now was that the team that had the biggest hero pool was benefiting the most, while the enemy just couldn't get their key heroes that, you know, these players were spamming or really good at, right? Because there was 4 bans. So you could ban, you know, the enemy mid laner's best hero, you can ban the enemy carry's best hero, and you still had 2 more free bans after that. So this actually, you know, changes captain's mode altogether. I feel like this is going to change how people need to see captain's mode, and it's going to change how, you know, which teams are going to be the best, just a little bit though. You know, the best teams are still going to be there because they are great at Dota and they've been constantly great at Dota, right? But there will be a lot of changes to some of these teams, especially in the tier 2, tier 3 scene, because they're not going to be able to adjust as quickly to this huge change. Just some more captain mode changes. All right, that's pretty much the really big one with the bans. Okay, Fountain now has a Fury Swipe style attacking, increases damage by 3 for each hit. So that means you can't tank Fountain for a long time. You will die in it, and no more Fountain diving. They're just trying to make sure that Fountain, you know, it's a safe place for you to be in, right? It doesn't matter if you're getting wrecked. If you stay in your Fountain, you know, the enemy shouldn't be able to touch you. It's your little bubble. So there you go. Stay in your Fountain. If you're getting dove, you got its protection. They're trying to buff it the best that they can. At some point in our life, Fountains are gonna 1-shot heroes. I'm telling you, or they're gonna 3-shot heroes, something like that. All right, neutral items nearby enemy range drop restriction increase from 9 to 1,200. So let's say like a Bat Rider, you know, he fireflies, the firefly kills the neutral. If he's within 1,200 range, an item can drop. So they're actually increasing that, so you're not like making any mistakes where you are nearby a creep camp and then, you know, you kill it, you run away, but then if you drop an item, it's like, oh shit, that feels kind of bad, you know, for the guy. There's a lot of, you know, small things that can happen because of it. Neutral items will no longer drop if the nearby and real hero source of kills is teleporting. Neutral items no longer drop from Meepo clones. That's a pretty QOL for Meepo because Meepo is farming jungle camps all the time, and then the items are just left there. You can't even pick it up with your clones, right? Lifesteal amplification now stacks diminishingly. This is huge. HP regen amplification now stacks diminishingly. Heal diminishingly. Spell lifesteal also the same. So what this means is that they don't you don't want to stack too many of these things all the time. And I feel one of the reasons why, you know, Satanic was so OP was because of this, that it wasn't stacking diminishingly, and now it is. So that's going to be really big changes to Satanic, especially because that item was completely busted. It's like every carry bought that item almost. Even like a Phantom Lancer, for example, right? In the past, they used to buy Hearts. Now they just buy Satanic because it gives you status resistance, you know, insane amount of lifesteal, heal, regen, blah, blah, blah. It was just way too crazy. So that's pretty big. All right, finally, item changes. Before we go into item changes, let's go down here to the small item changes, because that's gonna help us understand how those other item changes make sense, right? Because these are the small components, and the small stuff is what make the big items. So we want to see the small items first, right? So the small items is Ring of Regen, health regen reduced from 1.75 to 1.5, but they also reduced the cost by 50 gold. Sage Mask, same thing, reduced by 0.4 mana regen, and the cost reduced by 50 gold. Ring of Protection, they increased the cost by 25 gold. So Sage Mask, that's a pretty big one for me. This item was actually so freaking good. I think it's still very good for its cost, and we will see more people buying this item. Ring of Basilius, recipe cost increased. It's just for the total price remains, and they do that for the headdress, buckler, urn, and the pipe. because the Ring of Regen Sage Mask cost was decreased. Tranquil Boots Unbroken Speed reduced by 5 and Broken Speed reduced by 5. That's because it costs 50 less gold. Now the Broken Speed reduced by 5, that kind of hurts Tranquil Boots a little bit, but 50 gold, that's okay. Alright, now going back to the top here, where the item changes for the bigger items happen, we'll check it out. Doesn't it mean neutral items won't drop when enemies are close by? No, it means it will drop if they're the ones who kill it. Okay, so item changes. Necronomicon no longer provides Archer Aura. So the movement attack speed of Necro unit increased with the same amount as the aura provided. So they removed the auras altogether. That's kind of big because that aura was like one of the reasons why Necronomicon was really good too. Attack damage type changed from piercing to hero, and damage amount adjusted such that the net effect is, so it does 57% less damage against creeps, 10% less against buildings, and 26% more against heroes. So it's more of like a hero killing item, or benefits more from hero killing than it does against those other things. Where previously people used Necronomicon to just drop it, farm waves, farm neutrals, push towers. That was the biggest reasons. You didn't even necessarily need it in team fights, but if it was there for your team fights, you were going to use it. Now it's like more, much better to be used in team fights than it is against creeps and buildings. Now that doesn't mean they don't, kill creeps. It just does way less damage. Mana regen reduced from 3.54 to 2.34. So that's pretty big because the Necronomicon mana regen was one of the biggest reasons why it was bought. Last spell no longer deals damage to spell melee. So pretty big nerfs overall to Necronomicon. Necronomicon was actually like, especially Necro 1 was the replacement for Midas, essentially. I still imagine there are going to be heroes who will buy this item, like Beastmaster, Lycan, because they just do work so well together. But I feel like it's not going to be this auto buy item for every hero almost, right? We saw like Queen of Pain, Crystal Maiden, Clockwork. We even seen like Earthshaker from Zai by Necronomicon, but I doubt that will happen any longer. So it's a pretty big nerf then, overall. Helm of the Dominator no longer provides a damage and regen aura. Dominate now also gives the creep a buff that provides plus 40 base damage, 12 regen, 4 mana regen for the creeps, by the way, not like your hero or anything. Cooldown reduced from 60 to 45. Recipe is now Helm of the Iron Will, Crown, and 725 gold recipe. Passive bonus are now 6 armor, 6 HP regen, 6 all stats. So what they're trying to do here is make Helm the Dominator less of an aura and more about the creep itself and how the creep can benefit you, throughout the game and things like that. I feel like this item is not that good anymore. I don't think it's that good. I think previously the aura is the reason why people bought this item. Obviously creeps, they die in fights, and if you do use it for the creep, it's like it's only going to be useful for like the first 20 minutes of the game, maybe, right? I can see how Dominator could be useful to try and snowball you in a game, but later it kind of feels like a dead item. So I'm not entirely sure like the use of this in the meta that's going to be developed, but personally I don't like it that much. I feel like the aura was so freaking amazing, right? It lost a damage aura and a regen aura. That's 2 auras that it lost in exchange for a creep, like this super buff creep. Now the cooldown reduced, okay, but still, it's just mediocre at best, honestly. But who knows, a team might just find a way to abuse this. I highly doubt it. From my experience in playing Dota, this is not going to be a good item. Vladimir's Offering now requires a Mask of Death, Blades of Attack, Ring of Basti, and 600 gold recipe. Total cost increased by 75 a bit. No longer provides 3 armor or 5 stats. Lifesteal aura reduced from 20 to 15%. Now provides plus 80% damage aura, mana regen to 2. This hurts a lot. The 3 armor and the 5 all stats. Like, you guys gotta understand something as Dota. In Dota, stats is everything in a game. Armor, agi, strength, blah blah blah, whatever. This stats was such a big item for Bloods. Now for almost 4k gold, all you're getting is lifesteal, damage aura, and 2 mana regen, right? It's just an armor block. Now the only heroes that are gonna buy this is probably gonna be like super late game, you need to break high ground, and your position 5 is just gonna be like, I have 2,500 gold, what am I gonna buy? Alright, fine, I'll just buy Vlad's for my team. And this feels like an item that's only gonna be bought when you're up like 15k gold and you need to break the high ground. Right? So, it's, in my opinion, these are huge nerfs for Vlad's. It does give you 2 auras, but previously it gave lifesteal aura and an armor aura, which was better than like a plus 80% damage aura. Because a plus 80% damage aura is only based off your base damage, right? It doesn't increase off your plus damage or anything like that. So it's not like you're getting plus 18 off a rapier, right? It's just your base damage. What's up, Data Nerd? How you doing, buddy? Alright, and it's really expensive too. Drum of Endurance now requires Crown, Sage Mask, Windlace, and 600 gold! No longer provides a 20 attack speed aura. Now provides plus 6 all attributes, plus 1.5 mana regen, and 20 movement speed bonus. Attack speed bonus increased from 35 to 45. Active movement speed increased from 12 to 13%. Okay. This item, I have a feeling, is absolutely bonkers. Okay? This is gonna be the item that everybody's gonna start buying again. Alright? Think about it. Sage Mask, super cheap item. Crown, insanely cheap item. Windlace, everybody buys a Windlace. Literally. If they can. Right? And only a 600 gold recipe to combine all 3 of these amazing items. Plus, the actives are great. Right? This item is gonna take over all these dudes. Right? Drums, in my opinion, is gonna be freaking amazing for either position 3, 4, 5, and 2. A lot of 2s. Maybe even position 1s will buy drums, depending on like how active they want to be in a fight, or if somebody else can't buy it for whatever reason, like they need to buy blinks or something instead, right? Someone on your team. But this drums is gonna be a must item for a lot of heroes. 20 movement speed, 1.5 mana regen. These 2 are absolutely insane. People buy Yules because it gives you movement speed and mana regen, right? So drums is a far cheaper item that combines a lot of small items that you can, and it has great build up now. This item is insane, right? Drums is back, boys. Drums is back on the menu. Look at that. And it gives you 45 attack speed for every active. So early game, right? It costs only 1,475 gold. It's insane. It's so cheap. And it gives an aura to all your teammates. So early game, you go to a tier 1 tower. You 100% want to have a drums on somebody by the time you go to a tier 1 tower, I imagine. You can even skip boots, right? This item is going to be better than boots. Like, I can see carries not buying power treads and going straight drums. Right? Because it gives you movement speed, mana regen, stats, and when you go to a tower, you pop 1 drum charge, your whole team gets 13% movement speed and 45 attack speed when the fight starts. You pop a drum charge at 8 minutes in a game, boom. You just start killing people, right? Like, they can't fight you. If you have drums and they don't have drums and they come into a fight against you, you will destroy them. Or even offlaners. I actually, not more I think about it, offlaners are going to want to buy this item without even buying boots, right? You just go Windlace right away. You start buying the stats. You complete drums. Your team rotates to you. Bam. You kill the tower. Just like that. Even 6 minutes in, you have a catapult. Team rotates to you. Kill the tower. They come fight you. You kill them. You get a whole bunch of extra XP and gold because of the new changes. Great. Right? Or 10 minutes. You have drums? Sure. You have a second drums? Pop 1 drum after the other. Boom. This is actually an insanely broken item. They've decreased the cost like insane. By like insanely decreased its cost. And they've improved its stats too. All right, next items. Move on. That for as of right now, drums. So drums. Oh my god, it's so good, dude. That is I'm gonna give that 5 out of 5 stars for this item. Buckler, armor aura reduced from 2.5 to 2. Ouch. Mekins, now requires a buckler instead of chainmail. Now provides +3 armor aura. Self armor aura reduced from 6 to 4. So you still get 7 armor, right? Overall +1 armor. No longer provides +4 to all stats. That hurts a lot, by the way. Losing +4 all stats for mech, it hurts because mech active costs a shit ton of mana. And now you lose some int. So, you know, it's going to be very difficult for you to counterbalance that, right? But at the end of the day, you still provide a 3 armor aura to your entire team. So it's a really good item to help your team, not so good item to help yourself, right? Guardian Greaves now provides +3 armor aura, no longer provides +5 all stats. Ouch. Self armor reduced +4. Again, Dota is all about stats, and losing these stats hurts you, but at the end of the day, providing a +3 armor aura to your team is just great. Like, it's just so good. So I still think people are going to buy this item, but they're not going to buy it on like a mid laner or a carry or something. It's still going to be a position 3, 4, or 5 item. Yeah. So Crimson Guard no longer provides +3 all stats. Cooldown reduced from 46 to 42. I don't know why they nerfed Crimson Guard. They're just removing the stats from these aura items. But I feel like Crimson Guard was such a niche item that it didn't need it. And it sucks. Yeah. Blameo now has a 500 gold recipe instead of using Robo Magi. No longer grants +8 intelligence. Armor bonus increased from 6 to 7. Now has a passive component that returns 20 plus 20% of the attack damage. Active return damage reduced from 100% to 80%. So I think this sucks for Blameo a lot. I think the reason why they did this is because they don't want like Nature's Prophet and Queen of Pain to just abuse Blameos, like always buying it, especially Nature's Prophet. It was like #1 item on that hero, right? Unless you're rushing Orchid. But this hurts because the 8 int was such a big factor for a lot of heroes. Like for example, Clockwork, right? Clockwork's mana pool is trash. So he needs this 8 int to help him. But at the same time, he also needs a Blameo. So now he has to buy Blameo for the damage component, for the damage, you know, return damage stuff. But now he doesn't get int from it. So it feels really bad. Overall, huge L, I feel like, for Blameo. Because now you're using a 500 gold recipe. Any item that needs a recipe, generally, you know, instead of just using like a small item, is a huge nerf, right? So I think this is a huge loss for Blameo. The 20 plus 20% return damage thing, like, sure, it's cool, you know? It could be cool, but at the end of the day, like, nobody freaking needs this. Unless they increase that, right, to like 30% or something. Like, or maybe even, I don't know what they would do to adjust it, but I feel like this is a huge loss for Blameo. I really can't imagine a lot of heroes buying this anymore compared to before. Blameo stacks. It was broken a few hours earlier with Blameo stacking. Yeah, well, they're probably gonna change that to like not stack, right? It's been removed. Okay. Alright, so it's not stack. And that was just a bug, right? They didn't mean it to stack. It just probably was just a straight up bug. So it's gone anyway. Alright, Blitz Knuckle, new item. New basic item. Costs 1000 gold and provides 35 attack speed. On its own, it's trash, right? Gloves is like what, 400 gold, I think? Gives you like 20 attack speed. Way better. But yeah, this item on its own is trash, but they want another bigger item that can build up into, you know, other bigger items, right? So Monkey King Bar now requires Blitz Knuckles instead of Quarterstaff. Damage reduced from 52 to 42, so lost 10 damage, but it gained 25 attack speed. That's great for Monkey King Bar. Because Monkey King Bar, actually, you would rather have attack speed than have that extra 10 damage, for sure. Because you're already going late game, and you want more hits to proc the Pierce effect. So good buff for MKB. Oblivion Staff, bonus damage increased. That's pretty good. Orchid, mana regen reduced. So you lost 1.5 mana regen. Intelligence reduced. You lost 5 int. Recipe cost reduced from 775 to 475. Total cost is 3,475 gold. Okay, this item costs less than this item costs less than Desolator. Okay, so mana regen int, like this stuff kind of hurts. For example, Queen of Pain, you know, she likes that stuff. She likes those, but at the same time, reducing by 400 gold, that means it's going to be a lot easier to access this item. And the active is absolutely amazing, right? 5 seconds of silence is great. So I actually do think we're going to see a lot more heroes who are not int heroes buying Orchid overall. Because the stats Oblivion Staff gives is great. And the fact that it's so much cheaper and the active is really good, like, we will see more heroes buying this item. I imagine even some, like, for example, Winter Wyvern with the Orchid, right? It's going to be a lot more popular now because it's cheaper too. And it's going to be very efficient. And he doesn't really care if he loses 5 int and 1.5 mana regen. It's not that big. You're already gaining 4 int and 20 int and 4 mana regen from the Orchid. So that's already good enough. So I do definitely see. And it, on top of that, it also gives you 30 damage and 30 attack speed, right? This is like the effects, for example, a Shadow Blade gives you. So I actually do believe Orchid, this is an overall buff for the item. For 400 gold in exchange for those two things, that's great. I can see a lot more heroes definitely thinking about buying Orchid. That's for sure. That cost reduction is insane. You're going to see like some early game Orchids, you're going to be very sad as a support hero. Like, if you're a support buying this, that's great. But if you're playing as a support against this, and you see like an 11-minute Orchid on a hero, you're gonna be extremely sad. That's for sure. Alright, Shadow Amulet. Cost reduced from 1.4 to 1,000. No longer provides 20 attacks. Wow! Okay. That's nice. So you have like this little invisibility thing, right? For like 1,000 gold. It's not bad for supports, because supports didn't give a shit about the 20 attack speed anyway, right? Now combines from Shadow Amulet, Cloak, and Gloves of Haste. So if you wanted the attack speed, you're gonna buy gloves, right? And it's actually not even that bad, because you buy the gloves, it can help you farm to your next item if you're gonna build Glimmer Cape anyway. So Glimmer Cape overall got buffed from all of this, right? Because you get the gloves super early, it helps you farm more, and then you buy the Shadow Amulet for like 1,000 gold or whatever, or you have gloves and a cloak, and then once you get 1,000 gold, so you have like these super cheap, efficient, small items as a support hero, and then you buy the amulet to just finish your Glimmer Cape. It's actually amazing. So they buffed Glimmer overall, and that's amazing because I feel Glimmer Cape has been nerfed a bit too much with the cast range. But because they, you know, broke it down a little bit more and gave it a gloves component, is great. What safe laner do you think is mana now without the hero changes? Yeah. Let's just, you know, go over this and then we're gonna get to that, right? Okay, Shadow Blade. Now combines from Shadow Amulet, Blitz, Knuckles, and Broadsword. Attack speed increased from 30 to 35. Damage reduced from 27 to 25. I mean, it's alright. It's not. It's pretty much the same like as before. Not much different for Shadow Blade, right? What was the cost of Shadow Blade before? I can't remember. I don't buy that item. But was it always? It was still 3,000, right? Okay. 2,000. Oh, so it costs 200 more gold. But it does gain 5 more attack speed. So, you know, it's okay. You did lose 2 damage as well. At the end of the day, I think it's fine. But the biggest change for Shadow Blade is actually the next change. That's going to be insane, right? Echo Saber slow is now only applied by real heroes. So this means that Monkey King can't use Echo Saber with his Wukong and destroy everyone because they're constantly slowed in his ultimate, right? So that's kind of annoying for Monkey King. Silver Edge now requires Echo Saber instead of Ultimate Orb. I never understood why Silver Edge needed freaking Ultimate Orb. I never understood that. It was so trash. And that was one of the biggest reasons why nobody bought Silver Edge, because Ultimate Orb is just trash item overall, right? So now it requires Echo Saber instead of the Ultimate Orb, right? It's gonna cost you a little bit more gold. But Echo Saber has great benefits, right? it actually has insane benefits to you. Now provides plus 40 damage, plus 45 attack speed, 12 strength, 10 int, plus 1.5 mana regen, and keeps the other benefits. Like, it's a great item. 22-second cooldown, great. And it has Shadow Walk, so I mean, it can break the enemy, right? And on top of that, it causes your melee attacks to hit twice and slow them. It's insane. Obviously, it costs a lot of gold, 6,100, but you're combining your Shadow Blade and your Echo Saber together, right? So a lot of heroes who can actually utilize Echo Saber, Shadow Blade, or can either utilize even one of those items, will build up into a Silver Edge, right? So now these carries who are buying Shadow Blade have another cheap item like Echo Saber that they can buy that will help them, and then later you combine them together, you make one item, Silver Edge, frees up another item slot, right? Previously, people who bought Echo Saber felt super bad they had Echo Saber, and that's one of the reasons why people didn't buy Echo Saber, because it's a feels bad item late game, because it takes up an item slot and it's only like a medium tier item. Now you have two medium tier items, Echo Saber and Shadow Blade, that combine into one. It's insane. So we can see a lot of carries, even mid laners late game, buying this Silver Edge, because it's actually like an end game item that has good stats for you. Invisibility, break. It's freaking awesome. So don't worry that this item is expensive, because you have two extremely powerful medium tier items that build up into that expensive item, right? It only costs 600 gold to combine these two items. So you're freeing up an item slot. It's just great item. It's just absolutely great. It's a lot better than when you had the ultimate orb, that's for sure. All right, moving on. So we got a few of the smaller items that were spammed constantly. So in the last patch, every game, people bought like 1 or 2 Bracer, Wraithband, Null, whatever their main the main attribute was. Supports obviously bought Bracers, and they got changed now because nobody wants to see freaking Wraithbands and Nulls and Bracers being spammed every game, right? So strength, int, agility reduced from 633 to 522. Huge nerfs, huge. And these items cost a lot of gold too, by the way, like 510 gold. That's not cheap, right? No longer grants plus 4% magic resist, now grants plus 3 damage and 0.75 HP regen. I mean, it's trash, right? Like, compared to what it used to be, compared to what it was, to what it is now, for 500 gold, that's trash. Like, I think the items that we're gonna see being bought instead of this is gonna be the crowns, right? We'll see a lot more crowns being bought now, because crowns will lead into drums and other items. So crown is just overall better, much cheaper, more efficient, and can build up into good items, where Bracer is stuck at Bracer, right? Like, if you're buying a Bracer, I can't understand why you would buy a Bracer anymore. I feel like previously Bracer was good because it gave 6 strength and the magic resist. That's literally all the reason why people buy Bracer, right? On like supports, for example. So this one, for Bracer at least, huge L. Wraithband. Strength, int, agi reduced 633 to 522. Now grants plus 1.5 armor and 5 attack speed. It's okay because you get armor, right? But you still lost 1 damage, and you still lost, int and strength. Like, it's just okay. Like, I'm not sure. I don't think carries are gonna buy 2 Wraithbands. Carries might buy 1 Wraithband because they want to start with a circlet and a slipper. But I can't imagine carries buying more than 1 Wraithband for the most part. Now, it could be okay to buy 2 Wraithbands if you need the armor against the person that you're laning against, right? If the enemy is like heavy on the physical damage, you need the 3 armor or something. I mean, having 2 Wraithbands giving you 10 attack speed, it's not that bad, right? And you can sell it off for half the price. That's okay. But for the most part, previously you see, carries buying 2 Wraithbands or whatever. Sometimes even 3 Wraithbands. I think 1 Wraithband is okay. 2 Wraithbands, maybe okay depending on who you're fighting against. Null Talisman, Strength, Int, Agi reduced from 633 to 522. Now grants 0.6 mana regen and 3% spell amp. Okay. 0.6 mana regen, that's good. Right? That's always gonna be good. I think mid laners kind of always needed some of the Null Talisman. Obviously losing that 1 extra damage hurts. My feeling with these items is that people are just gonna buy Circlet, you know, slippers or mantles, and they're just not gonna upgrade it. Right? They're just gonna go straight into the treads. They're gonna go to the robe or the crowns. I think crowns are gonna be great. Now, seeing that these stats kind of suck, I can imagine Rod of Atos, for example, potentially being a good item. You know, if it helps you build up more with the crowns and stuff. Just overall items that involve crown, I feel like are gonna have higher value. So stock and crown, right? It's really hard to gauge like how good this is compared to before. I know Bracer is trash in comparison to before, right? But Wraithband is like just okay depending on your matchup in your lane. And Null Talisman, this is probably the closest in comparison, right? Like losing 1 int doesn't feel terrible, right? Compared to the other stuff. Like you do gain 6.6 mana regen, which is kind of cool. All right. You think they buffed the Wraithman by giving 1.5 armor? I mean, the armor is okay, but most agility heroes already have high armor. So you don't need more armor already on most of the heroes who buy Wraithband to begin with. And you don't want to buy a lot of these small items because you're going to be missing out on like the important items afterwards. But I do understand what you mean by like the armor being good. But if you're playing against like 2 heroes who are constantly harassing you, yeah, the armor is going to be a lot more beneficial. That's for sure. But don't forget, you are losing 1 agility, 1 strength, and 1 int, which normally is like very, very valuable stats to you, right? I guess if you compare those stats lost to like 1 branch and you're gaining like 1.5 armor, okay, sure, right? But obviously going into the mid game, like the armor is not going to be as valuable because you already have a lot of armor on agility heroes. But heroes who have very low armor, I can see Wraithband being extremely good. But for example, a hero like Terrorblade, he would have rather had, you know, the 633, the attack speed, right? And kept spamming that. Because Terrorblade has an insane amount of armor. I do see that people will probably end up buying 2 Wraithbands anyway, because most offlaners do have a lot of physical damage, right? Like, for example, if you're fighting against a Bat Rider, though, it's going to be a little more difficult. The armor can help you jungle, though, because it'll give you, you know, more survivability. But that also wasn't a big problem for heroes, like tanking jungle creeps or anything like that. They still would have had, you know, rather had more stats. Okay, moving on. We already gone through that. Okay, these are some very interesting things, right? So Kaya no longer provides 12 mana loss reduction, now provides 24 mana regen amplification. So Kaya overall gives you 16 int, 8 spell amp, 24 mana regen amp, and 24 spell lifesteal amp. Now, doesn't give you any mana regen apart from what the intelligence gives you, and it doesn't give you any spell lifesteal. So spell lifesteal amp is only useful if you have spell lifesteal to begin with, right? I think the mana regen amp is a little bit better than the mana loss reduction for some heroes, for example, and it'll scale better throughout the game too, right? Your spells don't necessarily like increase in cost as the game goes on, you know, if they're already maxed out or whatever. But your mana regen generally does increase as you buy more items, right? More mana regen items, and then more mana regen amp. This is great for Storm, for example, right? For its mana regen. It kind of does suck that they did lose a mana loss reduction, because a lot of people's perception of how to play Storm is gonna have to change, right? It's like your muscle memory, blah blah blah, everything's gonna change, and you're gonna have to account for, you know, playing with the mana regen more than the mana loss stuff. I feel like in terms of burst damage, you're losing out a lot because Storm, for example, in 5 seconds with the mana loss reduction can do more damage than, you know, the long drawn out mana regen amp buff that Kaya has gotten. But that's like a small example. But overall, like this mana regen amplification is gonna make it so that you're not gonna run out of mana, right? You're gonna have constant flow of mana from your average heroes. Okay, Yasha and Kaya no longer provides the mana loss plus 30% mana regen amplification. So for every 10 mana regen you have, you gain pretty much 3 mana regen, right? It's pretty good. Most heroes have, like, let's say if you get a Bloodstone, you're gonna have a lot of mana regen then. So same thing for the other items for Kaya and Sanj. Bloodstone, same thing. It just gives the spell lifesteal mana regen amplification at 100%. And yeah, no more mana loss reduction. Okay, Yasha. What was the previous Bloodstone? Was the previous Bloodstone also 100% mana regen amplification, or was it less? Because if the previous Bloodstone was also 100% mana regen amp, then that's a huge loss, right? Okay. Why are you not joining Dota casting? I mean, I'm trying, but people are not giving gigs, I guess, at the moment. So I would love to cast some tournaments. Maybe in the future, as we become more, or people become more aware. I don't know. Esports politics, perhaps. Alright, let's move on. Yasha and Kaya. Spell amp increased from 14% to 16%. Spell amp increased 14 to 16 as well for both of those items. So that's pretty good. Some extra damage on that. Sanj no longer provides spell lifesteal amplification. Okay. So they removed it for the Sanj. Kaya now provides 24% spell lifesteal amplification. We saw that already. And the Bloodstone now provides 30% spell lifesteal amplification. So that's pretty cool if you have, like, you know, for example, Octarine core, right? Soul Booster now provides plus 10 magic resist. So previously Soul Booster didn't really have any, you know, special effects for like being combined, but now it gives you 10% magic resist. That's actually really good. I feel like you become much tankier. Freaking awesome for this item. 10% is not a joke for magic resist, right? Bloodstone now provides the same, because the Soul Booster component, Octarine, same thing. So actually Bloodstone, Octarine, if you combine these two items, technically you become really, really tanky now, right? Because Octarine will give you 10% magic resist, Bloodstone will give you 10% magic resist, and then Bloodstone will amplify your Octarine's spell lifesteal, right? So we're gonna maybe see some heroes are gonna become extremely unkillable because of this. That's kind of crazy, actually, now that I think about it. I'm thinking, you know, my sixth head is thinking, like, what if you have a Spectre who has like Octarine, Bloodstone, and like a Radiance, right? So the Radiance is doing damage, you know, you're life stealing, and then you got like this Bloodstone, you know, boosting up your regen and shit. Okay, don't take me seriously, guys. I'm just joking, alright? Don't buy fucking Octarine and Bloodstone on Spectre unless, okay? There's a huge unless, by the way. Unless Miracle does it, okay? If Miracle does it, it's alright. So please don't. Okay? I don't want to be the cause of some garbage item builds, alright? Let's move on. Bloodstone cooldown reduced from 250 to 85. This is insane. It's actually insane. Cool. I mean, I always wondered why Bloodstone cooldown was so high, but now with this change, that's insane. So now you can actually utilize Bloodstone in fights where you can pop it, you know, heal up like crazy. You can bait fights for your allies better. 250 cooldown was ridiculous, right? So all the heroes who had stock in Bloodstone, whew, amazing buffs for Bloodstone, right? And this is a great item. So in a patch where people are gonna be trying to take tier 2 towers more, fight a little bit more, or get more kills, right? Bloodstone is huge now, right? It's got so many buffs. The cooldown is great. And I mean, it just has great build up, right? And you're going to be getting so many more kills now because people are going to want to get kills, right? It's got more XP, more gold overall. Shit, that's insane. Okay, Voodoo Mask, new base item, grants plus 12% lifesteal, 2.5% against creeps, costs 900 gold. So here is the item where instead of having an Octarine core before you start getting lifesteal, you can buy a Voodoo Mask. Voodoo Mask, combine it with like a Kaya or something, you got some nice solid spell lifesteal going. So that's pretty cool. Some easier build up or whatever. No longer provides bonus intelligence on Octarine. Huh. So it's health, mana. So it's wait a minute. So Octarine is actually a lot cheaper now, right? You don't need that Mystic Staff anymore. It's a lot cheaper. So it's Soul Booster. And the Voodoo Mask and a 900 recipe cost. So it's a lot cheaper. Oh, 900. You lose 12. You lose like 25 intelligence, which is kind of annoying. But you can combine the Octarine with the Bloodstone, right? So you're not gonna be, you know, running out of mana because you're constantly spamming with the cooldown reduction. So that's pretty cool. I kind of dig it. I imagine a lot of heroes are gonna be combining Bloodstone and Octarine together, in their builds. With that. All right, Veil of Discord, attribute reduced 9 to 4, recipe cost reduced to 650, cooldown increased to 25. Spell amp reduced from 20% to 18%. I mean, this item is just... Oh wait, it's 1,500 gold. And it gives you 1.5 mana regen to your allies. The thing about this item, and the biggest problem with this item is, right? Okay, it reduces 80% of the, you know, enemies' magic resistance, but that is mitigated by their magic resistance, right? So they have 25 magic resist, so it's 80% but less 25%, right? So it's like 14% or whatever, 13-14% that you're reducing enemies' magic resist. Now it's not terrible, but the stats that it gives is kind of bad, right? +4 stats is like nothing for 1,500 gold. 1.5 mana regen and +4 stats for 1,500 gold, that's nothing. And all you're getting is when you use the active, you reduce their magic resist by like 13%. All spell damage? Oh, it increases damage from spells. Okay, that's actually even from spells. So like all spells, right? I mean, honestly, I'd rather that I'd rather that it remove their magic resist like it used to than whatever this is. I'm really not a fan of this item. Like, the thing is, I don't even care actually what its effect is, because the number one thing anybody looks at in terms of items is what the stats that it gives, right? Now, I can see some use for supports buying this item to increase the damage of your allies, right? So plus 18% increased damage from their spells or whatever, right? Now that doesn't increase their physical damage from their right clicks or anything, which is kind of annoying. I mean, we'll see. Time will tell with this item for sure, with the Veil, but I really can't imagine it being something good. Previous patch, it wasn't even bought, and now it gives less stats, cooldowns longer, less spell amp, and just for a little bit less gold too. Alright, moving on. Holy Locket can now target allied units with the magic stick active. Cast range 500. So you can use your magic stick to give it to somebody else. Like, you can heal them with that thing, right? And it also amplifies the healing that it gives. So it's like 35% more from the magic stick, how much it can heal. That could be a lot, right? In the middle of a fight, you can heal someone for like, I don't know, 400, 500 HP, whatever it is. It could be pretty good, right? I mean, I can see some use for it, but it's still a very expensive item for not such, you know, amazing stats, right? For the Holy Locket. I can see Chen buying this item, right? Sitting in a fight, taking some stick charges and using it on his ally or something. But most of the time, like late game, it's like you as a support who's holding a Holy Locket, you're the one who's dying. So you have to like kind of use the locket on yourself. So overall, the effect, it's just a bonus ability. It's just like a small little buff. It's like, here you go. You know, have a bone, holy locket. You're trash. Take it and go. That's what it is. Soaring now requires 2x goldness, ring of protection, 350 gold recipe, same total cost. Now provides 6 strength and 2 armor. No longer provides 2.25 HP regen. That hurts. Soaring, by the way. So soaring takes away your HP to give you mana, and now you don't even have a passive HP regen to build up that HP that you lost anyway. Previously, people bought soaring because they gave you HP regen. Nobody cares about the armor, right? You can buy armor through other items. That's fine. The HP regen is the hard part to get. So losing that HP regen and now soaring still consuming 170 HP, it's like hard for you to build that health back. Now heroes who can build that health back through their skills, like for example Dazzle, Necrophos, you know, things, they might actually consider buying soaring because it gives you good tank ability, right? 6 strength, 2 armor. But heroes who can't build their HP back easily might not consider it as much. Now, if you do have Tranquil Boots, I guess soaring could work well with it because the Tranquil Boots already provides you with a shit ton of HP regen. So the armor could be a little bit more beneficial. So, for example, Crystal Maiden, right? That could be nice. Okay. Hyperstone. Attack speed bonus increase from 55 to 60. A little bit more attack speed. Assault Cuirass, attack speed bonus increase from 25 to 30, so 30 for all allies. No longer provides +5 all stats. Ouch! That hurts. That hurts a lot for the person who's holding the AC, but obviously great for everybody else, right? So overall, these aura items, like they got nerfed for the buyer, but it's like good for your allies regardless, right? I mean, I don't know what to think of it. It really hurts. Like, it makes me feel like some people are going to be obviously more selfish in the way that they buy items, because not giving 5 stats is like kind of painful, right? Bloodthorn attack speed increased because of, you know, Hyperstone. Battle Fury now requires Claymore instead of Mithril Hammer, so it costs a little bit less gold. Damage reduced to 55, mana regen reduced by 0.5. So it'll cost 4,180 gold, a little bit less gold for less damage, less mana regen. I think it's okay. Not terrible, or not like a nerf, not like a huge nerf or a huge buff or something. It's just okay, right? Like Anti-Mage, he's happy. He'll get it Battlefield a little bit faster. But I imagine, you know, people who want Battlefield, they will buy it for sure. And it's not like this gonna stop them from buying it, nor is it gonna make some heroes buy it more or something. But overall, like making it cheaper, I think for some heroes it's a buff more than anything else. Like, you know, people are really, humans are, you know, you see a discount, you just want it, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter if it's damaged goods or something. Sometimes, like, you see a discount, you know, humans are like, oh, I gotta get that, right? But, you know, 5 damage and 0.5 mana regen is not nothing either. Alright, Broadsword. Damage reduced from 16 to 15. Damage reduced by 2. Recipe cost reduced by 200 gold. That's good for Crystallis. 1,950 gold. That's actually not that bad. It's just that a lot of heroes early game aren't going to buy this item because a 30% chance to deal 160 damage is not a lot of damage, right? That's the problem here. But, like, I mean, this item has actually dipped below 2k gold for the first time. I've never seen it dip below 2k gold, but, you know, we'll see. This is also another item I'll see with time. Cloak cost reduced by 100, recipe cost increased by 100. So that's actually pretty sick that they reduced the cost of Cloak. That also means Glimmer Cape is going to be a little bit cheaper, which is great, without, you know, affecting the price of Hood. So amazing. Buy this item, guys. This item, I think early game should be a must, especially if you're no longer buying Bracer, because it doesn't give you magic resist. Buy the goddamn Cloak. 15% magic resist, just like that. Awesome. I feel like a lot of heroes early game are going to be buying this item, like every game. Like offlaners who are super tanky, instantly buy Cloak. They will get like one item and then they'll go straight into a Cloak. Drums, Cloak, guys. This is the future, okay? Drums and Cloak. Titanic now has 500 gold recipe. So huge nerfs to Satanic. I mean, this item was broken as hell, right? So huge nerfs. So now it gives 25 strength, 25 damage, 30% status resistance. It doesn't have the heal amplification or whatever anymore either. So huge nerfs to Satanic. Satanic got a lot of nerfs. But people will still buy it because of the status resistance though. That's for sure. Meteor Hammer. Cooldown reduced. Stun duration reduced. Recipe now has Perseverance, Crown, and 250 gold recipe. Now provides +8 all stats. 6 health regen. So overall, stats are amazing. Health regen is great. Mana's great. Item mostly gonna be used for pushing out creep waves actually. I think Meteor Hammer overall got buffed. And I think this item could be a very good item for heroes who lack wave clear. Okay? So heroes who lack wave clear might actually end up buying more Meteor Hammers. I can totally see that. Because the stats that it gives is great now. It's not just strength in it, it's actually giving you agility as well. And it's giving you great HP regen and mana regen. So this item, I feel like, is going to be great. I really think so. And it's really good at taking towers. So tier 2 towers dying being very important can make Meteor Hammer a great item, right? So you go to a tower, there's a creep wave there, you use it on the creep wave and the tower, voila, you already got so much value from this item. Spirit Vessel no longer has a heal reduction. Soul Release regen increased from 30 to 40. Soul Release DPS increased from 25 to 35. Enemy HP regen reduction increased from 35 to 45. Okay. I feel like this item has been getting nerfed and nerfed and nerfed and nerfed. So it's very bad. I feel like this item has been nerfed too many times, and the fact that it doesn't have a windlace component anymore hurts as well. And the stats that it gives is trash. So the only people who are buying this is only because you 100% need it against like some Morphling, for example. Right? For Morphling. Like, this item is... It just keep destroying it, right? And that's because Soul Release is like an OP, you know, effect on the item. But the stats, you know, everything is just... And no longer having that heal reduction aura. Like, that aura was actually pretty sick, not gonna lie. Like, it was affecting like magic sticks and things like that. So there's gonna be a lot of stock being lost in Spirit Vessel because Drums is also gonna gain stock. So we'll see. Shiva's Guard. Freezing aura now applies 25% heal reduction in the area. Recipe cost increased by 100 gold. I'll take it. 25% heal reduction, great. Reduces enemies' lifesteal, reduces their, you know, sticks, whatever. This item is actually great. I love it. That effect, I think, is going to make Shiva's a much better item for sure. Dagon. Recipe now belt, band, robe, and 1300 recipe. I hope people don't buy Dagon all the time because of this. Because these 3 items, you know, people have always wanted these 3 items to do something. You know what I mean? So, I mean, its cost is still pretty high, and the damage is not super amazing. And when you level it up, like, the stats that it gives is not amazing. It's only +2 to all stats. So, I can't imagine it being used more than it already is. Heart of Thrust no longer provides 10 health regen nor heal regen amplification. Now passively provides 1% health regen, while auto combat provides plus 50% health regen amplification. Strength reduced, recipe cost increased. So you're constantly healing 1% of your HP all the time. All the time. So 1% max health regen all the time. 10, 20, 30. So if you have 3000 HP, you're healing 30 health a second. That's not a lot, right? That's not a lot. I mean, we'll see how it goes, but because Satanic has been nerfed, maybe we'll see more use of Heart. That's possible. But you are getting, you know, constant regen, which is alright, I guess. Ayascati, heal reduction increase from 35 to 40%. Slow from 45 to 25. Amazing. Ayascati was already picking up a lot of momentum. Like, people started buying it more. I think Ayascati is going to be a great item now. This is freaking awesome. Ayascati is going to see a lot of gameplay, I feel. Especially with the nerfs to like Satanic and all these other things. I think it's a great item. That's for sure. Alright, Quelling Blade. Cost reduced 150 to 130. Melee bonus damage reduced from 18 to 15. Range bonus damage increased from 5 to 6. Okay, so melee will get 15 damage. Range will get 6, but it costs less, right? Still, melee heroes are going to buy this non-stop. And range heroes. Wait, 6 damage for 130 gold? That's pretty good, guys. It's pretty freaking good. Is Ayascati a direct counter to Alchemist? It's a direct counter to a lot of things. Anyone who has regen, Ayascati is going to be a pretty good counter to it. I think Quelling Blade could be a good item for range heroes. Because if you think about it, right? One mantle is like pretty much the same price. Gives you 3 damage. 3 int. Circlet, 2 damage. Quelling Blade, 6 damage for 130 gold on a range hero. That's pretty good. And if you can somehow use the Quelling Blade active, for example, you're playing against a Nature's Prophet, you're going to buy it on a range hero then, right? Why not? Because you're going to carry that Quelling Blade around late game. Or not late game, like mid game or whatever, to get out of trees. Or if you're playing against Trem Protector, you might need a Quelling Blade to cut down trees in your lane. Right? Or you're playing against Monkey King, you need a Quelling Blade to cut him down from a tree. And it has range too. It's like 500 range, right? Or 350 cast range for the chop. There's nothing that gives 6 damage for 130 gold. Exactly. It's a pretty good item for range heroes. I can imagine that. Alright, Lincoln Sphere. Recipe cost reduced by 300? And here I see Ultimate Orb cost reduced by 100? So Lincoln's cost 4,600 gold. So it's pretty much 400 less gold now. This is good for Lincolns. I can see Lincolns being a good mid-tier item now. And some heroes buying it in the proper games. Now, Lincolns doesn't mean you can't buy BKB. You're still going to need to buy BKB in games, right? But I can see Lincolns having use now. Because previously, Lincolns gave trash stats. Its effect wasn't that good either for the cost. But now that it's much cheaper, but they didn't change the stats, is good. Like, I could see it being valuable because people already wanted to buy Lincolns. Now, Lincolns might even be a good, like, I could see Lincolns being a really good item, especially on mid laners, because you can use this on your ally. You can use it on your carry, right, as well. Now, position 4 and 5 is going late game would also consider buying Lincolns to give it to their ally, because it still gives you good stats. 14 all stats, 7 HP, 5 mana, amazing, right? For 4,600 gold, that's good. And the effect that it gives. Abyssal Blade, cast range reduced, needed by 50. Heaven's Halberd, evasion reduced by 5%, much needed. This item was hella OP. Dragonlance, Agi increased by 2, needed. This item was not being purchased whatsoever. Now, when you combine it, it'll give you a bit more stats. I can imagine some heroes still buying it now, or more people buying it at least. Hand of Midas. The thing is, like, Dragonlance is just not a big item because only heroes buying this is like carry agility heroes, and there's not a lot of them. Sorry, ranged agility heroes, and there's not a lot of them, right? But now with the extra agi and stuff, we can see, you know, Terrorblade, for example, picking up this item because he wants a pike in the game. Hand of Midas, XP multiplier increased. So, all right, Hand of Midas is you, okay? And Necronomicon was the guy that she told you not to worry about, right? Now, Hand of Midas decided to hit the gym and improve himself somehow, right? And now he gives 210% XP, where Necronomicon kind of let itself go, right? You know, and became a bit weaker, less valuable. So all of a sudden, these people who want to buy Necronomicon because of a farming tool, right, might actually consider buying Hand of Midas, because Hand of Midas I mean, the problem with Hand of Midas has always been that its cost is way too much, but the XP that it gives, you know, it's a little adjustment, right? But Necronomicon now is gone as a replacement tool for the Hand of Midas. So there could be an item that's a midway between Hand of Midas and Necronomicon now that could be used instead. But I can see Hand of Midas, some people starting to pick it up because Necronomicon is bad. Convince the spectators in your back to buy Midas. Okay. Refresher Orb. Cooldown reduced from 195 to 180. 15 seconds less. Good buff. Ulti Orb. 100 less gold. Great. That item is trash. So it's nice that it costs 100 less. That means all the items that build up into it will also cost less. So Linken's, Manta, Hex. Amazing, right? Raindrop. Mana region from 0.9 to 0.8. Nerf. Wasn't necessary, I believe. Nullifier. Projectile speed increased by 250. So it travels faster. The enemy can't dodge it in some way or something, or it'll land on them faster. Aghanim Scepter. Aghanim's Blessing recipe cost reduced by 200. I mean, Aghanim's Blessing was not an item people bought because the games didn't necessarily go that long enough, and normally you just waited for Roshan to drop it. Aether Lens. Recipe cost reduced, so that's a huge buff for supports, right? 50. No, okay, I wouldn't say huge buff. I misread actually how much it was. I thought it was 150 less gold. It's only 50 less gold. It's not that big, but you know, still nice, right? Boots of Travels to reduce the cooldown from 40 to 30. People rarely bought Boots of Travels 2. It just never got to that point in the game. If it's late game and you have to buy, like, normally carries would just have another item and just drop their boots and have a TP, right? Nobody really bought Boots of Travels late game. Like, they just would have 6 item slots, then have boots in their inventory. So, I mean, they're trying to buff an item that's just never bought, right? Smoke of Deceit cost reduced from 80 to 50. That's awesome. 30 less gold on smoke. Hopefully we'll see more smokes. Replenish cooldown on Sentry from 90 to 85. So 5 less seconds. Tome cost reduced from 150. No! Now I hope some freaking, you know, jerk inside of your game doesn't buy your tome because it costs like no gold. But it's really good for supports though. It's really good for professional plays where people are like, yeah, okay, I'll buy. Like, our support needs it, let them buy it. 75 gold is pretty nice though. Alright. Gloves of Haste moved from miscellaneous shop. Okay, whatever. Here are the neutral items. So we're getting near the end here. Mango Tree pickup range from mangoes is changed. Now has a minimap icon. No longer drops if another consumable item has dropped in the same tier. So this means that you cannot get jelly and mango. And that's pretty good. I think getting jelly and mango was too OP because those items allowed you to like scale better, because like those early game items don't matter in the mid and late game anymore, right? The small items. But if you have mango and royal jelly, it's like they're constantly being useful throughout the game. Yeah. Iron Talon active damage reduced from 50 to 40%, so nerf to Iron Talon. Jelly, yeah, it can be dropped to Mango Tree, but at the same time, like if you get a Mango Tree now and you can't get a jelly, that makes it kind of sad. Broom Handle attack range increased from 35 to 50. Okay, small buff from Broom Handle, but that's pretty good buff for him. Obviously it wasn't super popular as Iron Talon was, but you know, now it's pretty good. Faded Brooch movement speed reduced from 25 to 20. That's a huge nerf. 5 movement speed is a pretty big nerf. Arcane Ring armor reduced from +3 to +2. So these two items were great tier 1 items, and they kind of did need to be nerfed. Vampire Fangs night vision increased from 250 to 300. Meh. Philosopher's Stone damage reduction reduced from 35 to 30. This item was pretty bad, honestly. There's very few heroes who use it. Even supports didn't even want Philosopher's Stone, to be honest, because you can't even push out lanes with your right clicks as a support. But I imagine in like lower MMR gameplay, Philosopher's Stone is like, it's like the best item or something. Like every support wants it. But to be honest, in high level gameplays, a lot of players don't even carry Philosopher's Stone. Like they're like it's like they don't even want to lose to 35 damage, because 35 damage is also like a GPM, right? Because you can last hit creeps. Like if you miss one last hit on a creep because he had 35 less damage, it feels terrible, right? So it's a pretty good buff. I mean, it was needed, to be honest. Okay, Essence Ring. Cooldown increased from 20 to 25. Nerf needed. Clumsy Net, cast range reduced from 60 to 600, and +6 all stats to +5. Needed nerf. This item was amazing. Alright, Greater Fairy Fire. No longer drops if another consumable item has dropped in the same tier. So that's Repair Kit. So if you get a Fairy Fire, you don't get Repair Kit. If you get a Repair Kit, you don't get Fairy Fire. Damage increased to 40 damage. Okay. Alright, much needed buff. I can dig it. No longer drops another consumer has been dropped for Repair Kit. Alright, now has a 60-second cooldown. Health regen increased from 20 to 25. Okay. I think the 60-second cooldown part was necessary. Item was too annoying to play against. Health regen needed. Spider Legs, cooldown increase from 10 to 12. No! I love Spider Legs, dude. I hate to see it get nerfed. It was such a cool item. Quiver, fixed state granting permanent plus 400 range for Tempest double. Okay, that was a bug. Cooldown reduced from 6 to 5. Okay. Alright. Buffed Enchanted Quiver. I think a lot of heroes liked using this item recently, and a buff to that is gonna make it really good. I can see a really cool use with Enchanted Quiver and Orchid, because Orchid is cheaper too, you know? Yeah, it's cool. Orb of Destruction, armor reduction from -5 to -4, slow from 2010 to 2515. So melee heroes can slow for more. Okay. -4 armor, yeah, it kind of needed that nerf. Mindbreaker, cooldown reduced from 20 to 15, much needed buff. This item was like, it was just okay, you know? It was not something people actively sought out for, but lowering the cooldown I think was necessary. Titan Sliver, base damage increased from 16 to 20%, status resistance reduced from 16 to 12%. Alright, that's a nerf for sure on Titan Sliver. Paladin Sword, damage increased from 17 to 20, lifesteal reduced from 17 to 16, greater healing amp reduced 74. So another nerf. So these two were actually the best items for carries to hold on to in tier 3, and both got nerfed. Kind of expected, to be honest. Princess Knife, cooldown reduced from 12 to 10, needed. I think this item wasn't that amazing, so a buff to it was pretty cool. Flicker now has a minimum 200 range blink. Max range reduced from 450 to 400. So this means that you can't flicker right on top of where you're standing, I guess. And Flicker is still a very awkward item. It's not that bad to remove things like Shadow Strike, you know, Earn and stuff, and it gives pretty good movement speed still. So it's alright. I can't even say if this is a buff or a nerf. It's Flicker, still Flicker. Illusion Escape, illusion incoming damage increased from 150 to 200. They thought Illusion Escape was too strong, nerfed it a bit. Havoc Hammer, impact radiance increased from 350 to 400. Impact base damage increased from 225 to 275. So a little bit of buff to Hammer. Magic Lamp, heal increased from 300 to 400. Not bad. I mean, it wasn't a really big item that people were using as a tier 4. I feel like a lot of the other tier 4 items are more valuable. So it didn't need a nerf. It didn't need a buff, sorry. Pirate Hat no longer steals gold on kills. Can be active to dig for bounty runes with 100% success rate. Cooldown of 40. Okay, that's random. So 60-minute bounty runes, you will get 100% success rate. Every 40 seconds you find a bounty rune for your allies. Now, I imagine supports are gonna run around holding pirate hats and keep digging for bounty runes, right? I mean, this item wasn't even that good, honestly, as a tier 5. So 60-minute bounty runes. How much does anybody know how much pirate hat? Sorry, how much bounty runes at 60 minutes gives? Yeah, it's a lot of gold. I mean, at 60 minutes, you're not really looking for gold, though, right? At 60 minutes, you're looking to try and end the game. So, but it is nice if you're like behind, you're like turtling up, and you need, you know, to get to 1 or 2 items. The one good thing about digging for bounty runes with Pirate Hat is that the gold that you get from the bounty is reliable gold, right? So that gold will not be lost when you die, and that can potentially get you some buybacks. Yeah. So all right, that's it. That's the patch, guys. Overall, I think that there's some really big friggin' changes. The change that I love the most is the hero kill base, the last hit gold for the heroes, assist gold, like that shit I love a lot. I feel like hopefully we get more active games and kills actually matter. Roaming matters a bit more. I love drum change. Drum is like hella OP in my opinion at the moment. Like I would skip boots just to finish drums. I think like this item is a great item, right? I think drums is gonna replace a lot of the you know, bracers, wraithband, null stuff, and I think crown is gonna replace it too, because crown can build up into good items, especially like drums, for example. Silver edge, awesome. They've got a lot of cool stuff, man. I can see Lincoln's having some value now. Eye of Scotty is gonna be great item late game. So yeah, a cloak also being cheaper, 100 gold cheaper, that's gonna be pretty sick early game. Pirate Hat and Tinker Infinite Gold. I imagine that doesn't work, right? Alright, cool. That was our 7.27 gameplay update. I'm super excited to see the hero changes. That's gonna be insane. I'm gonna play some Dota. I'm gonna have some fun. Yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed our gameplay update analysis.